Hi again, my friends. Welcome back. Andrew Richter, the television show, the voice of the Northwest suburbs as we march forward. Season 5. Yes, they've tried to take me off the air, but no, I am still here. Nobody will intimidate me to be quiet. I will quit this show when I'm ready to retire, which right now is never. So, we once again talking about the local issues that you need to know that you're not going to find on any other show. Yeah, you pick up the local paper, you won't hear what we're talking about. You watch Channel 12 News and all the puff pieces. Sorry, guys, I know I'm not going to try to bite the hand that feeds me, but nobody does anything investigative around here except our group, Community Solutions. We are the group to listen to and go for your local news, communitysolutions.mn.wordpress.com. As always, have the local expert with me, Mr. Jason Bradley. Sir, welcome.
Glad to be
back.
here again.
Always great to tag team with you on some local issues. We're going to talk about Crystal, New Hope, Robbinsdale, Golden Valley, some of the cities here in the northwest suburbs. What's been going on lately? Now, you've been following our blog. You'll see high amounts of posts lately, and I think some of the local leaders are reading them. What do you think?
I know that they're reading them.
Little old us. I mean, on the one hand, we're idiots. On the other hand, they read what we write. Now, explain that to me.
I can't, but I tell you, when we started this deal many, many years ago, well, it's not that many, but...
That's right, I'm young.
Who'd have thought, that we'd be in this position today where we've got the ear of many around us.
Well, I thought it the whole time, but maybe...
It was the plan, but...
That was the plan, but the plan is...
yeah.
It's like watching a tree grow. We keep getting branches everywhere.
Yeah.
Can't stop us. You can only hope to contain us.
That's right.
All right. Now, a few things that have been happening recently. City of Crystal, I love it. I love the city. I always have. It'll always be home to me. But I'll tell you something. A few things have been happening there recently that have made my facial hair even grayer, and they've already enlarged my prostate, believe it or not. Organized garbage hauling,
Yes.
which we do have in some cities, Robbinsdale has it, has been talked about by the Crystal City Council. And of course, it's always done Crystal style.
Yeah.
Talk about it at a work session, reach a conclusion, and then by the time a meeting comes around, everybody knows how they're going to vote. But that's something that I don't think is going away. They've tried to do this before. They've talked about it before. I say it's going to keep going forward, and it is going to take away our rights to choose who we have take our trash away.
Well, that's true. Basically, you're creating a monopoly. And who's going to be able to afford to take the losses? It's going to be the big companies.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the ones that can afford to take the loss long enough to get rid of the small companies. So that when it comes around to doing rebidding, you have lost all the small carriers, and all you're left with are the big ones that, if you're environmentally conscious, maybe they're not the most environmental company. If you're cost conscious, they might eventually not be the most cost-effective company either.
The same people who rail against the evil corporations, the same people who, talk about, if a private business came in and tried to monopolize something,
Yes.
these same people would be going, this was Microsoft.
Yeah.
The same people who want organized collective garbage hauling would be going bananas. It's like if a private business acted the way our public schools act, they'd be dragged in front of Congress. I'd have to listen to Chuck Schumer and Dick Durbin go on and on and on about how evil they are. Why is it all right to create a monopoly just because government runs it? Why?
That's why it's okay, because the people in government say, we're running it and we trust ourselves to make a good decision, so we can have a monopoly, but when it's in the hands of evil capitalists that can decide their own rates and prices,
but they
it's
can't.
not okay.
But they can't, because if there's competition,
Right.
you can't just charge whatever you want to.
Exactly.
So
you're held
market
in check.
regulates the price.
Some people will pay more because they want a specific type of service. Some people are looking for the cheapest possible service, and that's just the way it works.
Well, and I would add something. I switched carriers about 4 years ago I won't say what company to what company, but a guy actually came to my house, sold me on his company. I switched. My rates were lower. Now, they've slowly gone up, but they're still good enough. And this guy called me 6 months later and a year later saying how my service was. Now, would I ever get service like that if these lug nuts run it?
No, you'll take whatever you're given. And likewise, I had an offer on the table. I was considering getting a different garbage hauler, and I called my company, and I was thinking about closing it. And they said, whoa, 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 hey, we can match that. We can beat that. And so I stayed with the same company. But you ever going to get that when the city runs it? No, because they're going to take whatever the best bid was or the worst bid, depending on.
And then the service has no incentive to get better.
Right.
There's no incentive to be great if there's no consequences to not being. And I'll tell you what is also, this is what really ticks me off. Our Environmental Quality Commission, those heroes we have doing that in Crystal. Listen to this statement. They're talking about what Robbinsdale is doing. Their system is less expensive for their residents than an open system. Yeah, right. That's because of somebody can underbid. Yeah. And the city has captured a portion of the fees which were directed to a $150,000 capital improvement fund, allegedly to maintain streets. Now, that sounds to me like they are looking for new ways to get revenue out of citizens.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it's not the only city service where they do that. I mean,
water,
we've talked about it with water and
Crystal's
electricity.
making a huge surplus on.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing, you know, if they can tell you who to have as your garbage hauler, then they can tell you who to get your electricity from. Oh wait, they do that, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they can. Well, maybe they could tell you where to get your water from. Oh wait, they do that already,
they do
don't
that,
they?
Yeah.
So this is just kind of in a long line of. But I mean, another way to word this is Robbinsdale is overcharging their citizens to the tune of 150 G's.
Yeah.
All right, so look, you Crystal residents, you've got to get on this because I'm going to tell you something. This issue is not going away. They've talked about it before, and I think that it is in. It just always is lurking there as a possibility that they might do. So keep on that.
Well, and just to throw in, I mean, well, Robbinsdale, are they really overcharging? And if they're overcharging in Robbinsdale, they can overcharge you in Crystal. And just think about it. What just happened in Crystal where they could have charged you, what, $250 less per household with the road reconstruction? And,
Phase 13.
Phase 13, they decided they want to charge you more just because they could put it towards other projects later on.
Yeah, so it's not relevant.
They're already overcharging you.
Yeah, now don't even bring up the water again.
Yeah.
Speaking of things in Crystal that I find interesting, solar energy has found its way into Crystal.
Good.
Of course,
a lot of sunshine lately.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we had all that global warming over the winter. I mean, you know, and I want to say something about solar energy. I am not opposed to solar as an option for, I don't think it's the way of the future. The technology isn't there. It's not even close to being there. And it wouldn't be there without government subsidies, depreciation, tax credits, all that kind of stuff. We wouldn't have solar at all. It's totally, the tax code has been used to force this down to cities and big corporations. That's why you don't see it on houses. You know, if it was really cheap to do, the city builds new houses. I don't see solar panels on them.
Right.
But the Crystal Community Center is getting expensive solar panels. But aren't you thrilled about that?
I am. I'm really excited. I can't wait to go use the community center for
whatever the hell people use it for. I don't know. I vote there. That's about the only time I go there. But you know, it brings up an interesting thing. I mean, if you listen to cities, they will tell you they only do things that are essential.
Yes.
You know, they don't waste one paper clip, one piece of butt wipe. Nothing gets wasted. Okay? Now you tell me the community center is the least essential. Would you agree with me? The least essential building we have in the city. We need a public works building, need a fire station, need a police station, need a city hall. That's all understandable. Those are legitimate local government functions.
Yep. And now, granted, I think we need, as a people, a place to assemble and meet. I think that's important. However, when we have places like the basement of City Hall, and we have, lots of great things seem to happen in the basement of the VFW, and there are other places where people can assemble, I don't think it's essential.
How about that Becker Park Pavilion that's used so well?
Oh, it is used really well. But I don't think that having that complex has served us as well. I mean, we've seen the figures. How much is it that it loses every year?
71% of its money.
71%. Yep.
That's what we subsidize it.
71%. And that's without the pool, right?
Yeah, pool's not included in that. Pool is
that's
about
75%. I think it's covered by
25% subsidized.
Yes.
But but just the thing, I mean, it might be nice to have.
Yeah.
You can make that case. But I lived in Crystal. I remember when the community center didn't exist. 1990 was the year it was built, and I remember because 1989 I was 12, and I played the last year of Little League on the old field, so that's how I remember that. And nothing was wrong with the city when we didn't have it. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, we're putting solar panels are not essential. No one can make the case they are.
Yeah.
It's might be a nice thing to do. You might feel good. Maybe it saves money in the long. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're taking a non-essential building and put non-essential solar panels. So City of Crystal, don't give me this garbage at the end of the year that you don't spend money on things that aren't essential.
Right.
Okay, this is not police or fire. Okay, this is not roads or whatever.
Yeah.
Legitimate things that government can do.
And I want to make clear, I mean, we're not saying let's close the community center.
No, I'm not saying that.
It's up, it's running, it exists. Unfortunately,
Like
we're
to
going
use
to be,
it better,
we're
but-
going to be paying for it for a long, 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 long time. And
That's
we need to find out a way to use it better to be able to recoup more of the costs. But that said, putting solar panels on top of a building like that. Now, if you could say, well, we're putting them on City Hall, I don't necessarily agree with it, but it would make more sense than putting them on the community center.
Well, and I would just say that it was interesting listening to the council people who voted in favor of this. And it was a 4-3 vote.
As everything is.
A lot of it seems to be right now in Crystal.
It's better than the 7-0 that we used to have.
7-0 or 6-1.
After that. Yeah.
But nobody could articulate a reason to vote for it other than, well, look, here's what I suspect. I suspect the real reason this is being done is that it's going green, it feels good, it's trendy, we're getting free money from somebody, we're saving Greenland or the North Pole or Antarctica or the Dead Sea from melting. And that's really the motive here.
Right.
Because if you can't show me that something's essential government, and you can't show me that there's a financial advantage to do it, then what's your reasoning for doing it? And it feels good. Oh,
it feels good.
Zippity-doo-dah.
And the community center has lots of great programs, for the kids and for the elderly and adults that want to be involved in something. But, at what cost? I mean, you've got to do that analysis at some point. At what cost?
Well, and we have to remember too, not all green ideas work. I mean, everybody talks about going green, but I seem to remember, I don't know, Solyndra, Chevy Volt.
Yeah.
Because again, there has to be a demand for something.
Right.
You can't force technology down people's throats. You look at how we invented things like cars and planes. I don't recall Henry Ford getting a tax credit from the IRS or the Wright brothers getting a grant from Hennepin County. That's not how we started these things. It was trial and error. It was innovation, private sector, and that's how we've extended our quality of life. It hasn't come because the government complicated the tax system.
Right, and same thing with electricity. You look at the battle that went on between Edison and Tesla. And
George Westinghouse,
and
all three of them.
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with the government stepping in and saying, well, we need electricity. No, that we came up, Edison captured DC, and it couldn't go very far, and so then
the cheaper version was alternating current.
Alternating current, which Tesla came up with, and Yeah, Edison was just horrible to both Tesla and
Yeah,
Westinghouse.
they
and-
hated each other. So, but
Yeah.
but that's what happens with companies have different ideas and different innovation.
And we got the best idea out of it.
Yeah, we did. Alternating current. We use it very much still today.
If the government mandated it, we would have stopped with alternating
Oh, we'd
current.
still have candles if the
Well,
government mandated it because of our
yeah.
carbon footprint. Now you want to talk about? Let's move on to New Hope here. The city
Okay.
who could screw up a one-car parade. I'd like to know from the city of New Hope, Winnetka, Boone are probably the two of the busiest streets in New Hope. 169 is kind of a major highway dividing New Hope and Plymouth. What idiot decided to work on them all at the same time? I mean, New Hope, if you can't communicate, and I'm sure the city won't take any blame, it's somebody else's fault. Tell you what, if you can't coordinate with Hennepin County or MnDOT or whatever layer of government's in charge, I'll give you my old Windows 95 and you can, or 3.1, and you can, I mean, what? Who in the name of Little Green Apples decided that working on all these, I mean, 42nd and Winnetka is shut down, okay?
Yeah.
Boone is gone
Yep.
all summer.
Yeah.
169 going south was closed.
Yeah. And that's not it. I think there's a greater conspiracy. I think they said nobody is going north or south. Yeah. Done. So
It's all to get us to walk and bike. And maybe that's it. They're all going to get us to walk and
that's
bike.
the thing. It's 169. It's Boone. It's Winnetka. It's the reconstruction project in Crystal this year
Right.
is right on
Off Douglas and,
Douglas and
by
Broadway.
Octopus Car Wash.
Douglas and Broadway. So that's another north and south taken out. County Road 81 is now down to one lane each way in between the medical center and 63rd, and it's completely closed now on the other side of 100 going into Robbinsdale. And 100 is having construction going north. I think they're doing bridge replacement. There's 694 into 94 is having construction. The detour for 94 is showing you to go down 100, which is having its own detours. And
Just
it's
hot air balloon everywhere? What should we do? I mean, memo to government here. I know you people live in a different universe, but people out in the real world actually have to get places. They actually, small business owners have got to get to their place. They've got to have customers. You can't shut down all these roads at once.
I mean, I'm seeing huge lines every day going north on 81. It stopped from 63rd all the way down to the top of the bridge, that new bridge that they
Yeah,
put
where
in,
they-
3 years ago or
They
whatever.
took out all the homes and all that.
Yeah,
or,
yeah. So that's backed up. People can't get off of Bass Lake Road onto 81. I know you were saying there were backups on Douglas that
All the way to
reached
City Hall.
for all the way down to City Hall.
Try taking a left out of the community center at 4:30 in
Yeah.
the afternoon. It's hard enough with the stupid road restriping. All those bikers I see out there, they're everywhere. All one of them.
My wife
the
got
same guy
passed,
with
yeah.
the same guy with the funny looking helmet is in the spandex. And I memo to that guy: quit wearing spandex. But I mean, it's just
Yeah.
I can't understand. And this is again where in the real world, in the private world,
Right.
nothing like this would ever happen in a million years.
No, they would have left it 4 lanes, and because you're taking all of the north and south traffic and you're putting it onto a road where you restricted the amount of travel it can handle. My wife was going, I forget which way, I think south on Douglas, and she got passed by some guy in the turning lane. He decided he was going to use it for a passing lane.
I've had
We've
that
talked
happen.
about it happening.
I've had that happen 4 different times. Now, granted, I drive as slow as a street sweeper, but still, I mean, it's just, and again, this is another one of these policies, complete streets. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. New Hope has a complete streets policy.
Oh, yeah.
You look for Winnetka or something like that to be redone.
Yeah.
What do you want to bet with their city center plans and all that? Because we've got to have, it has to be connected to transit, and it has to be walkable,
Yep.
and there has to be high density housing, or as the Met Council calls it, efficient land use. There has to be, I mean, again, you're going to see all that stuff's in their city center plan. Now it's worded in lots of government speak, of course.
It is. I mean, there's a pretty decent PowerPoint, though, on New Hope's website. And if you look, I mean, it talks about it, mixed-use development. It's got the drawings of street-level shops with the high density above it,
Same
and
thing
reducing parking and increasing parking for bicycles, not Harleys. And, you know,
there's a big demand for bike. I see bike racks. I don't see any bikes on them yet. We gotta have. But I mean, the thing about it too is, and I can see a case where, okay, some places are over retailed.
Yes.
And we don't need the big box.
Yeah.
Like we used to, because of online. I can see a case to be made for that. But why does every single thing have to turn into high density? Mixed use, which is retail, office combined type stuff, and walkable stuff, active living. I mean, what difference does it make if you want to go out and walk? Who's preventing you from doing it? That's what I'd like to know.
On the other hand, if you want to be pried out of your hammock with a pry bar because you can't get out on your own, that's your business too. I just think you should be responsible for yourself, and you should be responsible for the medical fees if you do that to yourself. But at the same time, the big box stores, they're closing a lot of stores. The free market is working.
Right.
People aren't shopping there as much. They're going online, and the stores close. That's what happens.
And they're still buying that stuff. It's just they're buying it through a different route. And that is the free market working. And look, before big box stores, there were nothing but small box stores.
Right.
And then the big companies expanded and hired a bunch of people. And I used to work for one, so I'm not going to rip on them. So but that is the marketplace doing its job. And again, it's over planning. But New Hope, God help us if this ever gets done. This is just the dumbest thing. I mean, it's as dumb as what Crystal did in 2011, and that's saying something, where you had 81 out, you had phase whatever the hell it was, you had road restripings being done at the same time, you had Bass Lake Road being worked on, you had Bass Lake and 81 being worked on. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
You can't get anywhere. Anyway, we got to move on to Golden Valley. We haven't forgotten about you, Golden Valley. The Pledge of Allegiance. We don't like the Pledge of Allegiance in Golden Valley. What's going on with that?
Well, it's a pretty bad thing. Have you ever read it?
Oh,
The pledge.
You have to salute the flag, and you have to say under God, under G-O-D.
Yeah.
Can I say God on the air? Under God.
And the bad point is like at gunpoint, they make you say it. Wait, no, they don't.
Oh, they don't.
No, you have the option of not saying
They
it.
put me at gunpoint to pay my taxes, but the pledge, they don't do that?
No, they don't.
Okay. I didn't know that.
That's optional, actually. And
Really?
yet, we have somebody on the Golden Valley Council that says, hey, I feel uncomfortable not saying it, so we should just not say it at all.
Well, and the guy's reasoning was just defying logic. I mean, literally, I mean, does it really, again, maybe I'm just dense here. Is the Pledge of Allegiance really something, they spent an entire work session talking about this.
Yeah.
I mean, is that really, I watch these cities spend 5 minutes talking about their comprehensive annual financial report. They'll blow through the budget like they're late to lunch, or they've got they're late to go get their Viagra or hemorrhoid cream. And yet, the Pledge of Allegiance, we're going to debate whether we should say it or not for a work session, and then at the end go, who does it discriminate against? Can anyone explain that to me?
No, it doesn't. The First Amendment says that we have not only religious right, but the right to free speech. And both of those things together, we have a right to say them or not say them. And if you're saying you have to mandatorily say it, yeah, that's bad. If you're saying that you have to mandatorily not say it, you're doing the same thing. I hate to break it to you, but that doesn't make you, all of a sudden this benevolent person. You're taking something away from somebody else and restricting a right that they had before.
Well, and I would say too, you hear about the phrase "under God" a lot. The First Amendment was not designed to remove God from the public square, and I think the absence of God has done more damage to this country. The absence of just moral thinking, generally speaking,
Yes.
has done more damage to this country than. And look, I'm not saying everybody's got to believe in God. I'm not saying that. I just feel that if everybody had a better sense of right and wrong and working hard, and you look at criminals, and I'm not comparing the Pledge of Allegiance to that, but how many criminals kill somebody and then they go into jail and they find the Catholic Church? And all of a sudden they're reformed souls. Well, what if they had done that when they were younger?
Yeah.
What if their family structure had been better? Maybe they wouldn't have killed somebody. Now, granted, I don't know what the role is for government in that. I mean, I don't want to legislate that.
I'll tell you exactly what the role
well,
is
hey,
for government.
We'll see you later then. I don't need to be.
Here's the thing. You go back to the founding of the country, Thomas Jefferson had church services right in the congressional chambers every Sunday. Yeah.
He did?
Yep. He had Bibles printed. He had Korans printed with a warning message in the front.
Oh, well.
I'm not making a judgment myself on anything, but this is what he did. Factually, that's what happened. They didn't shy away from religion. A number of the founders were theologians that signed both the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And the Constitution was written predominantly off of the writings of people like John Locke, who were going back into Scripture. They were looking at the book of Deuteronomy when they wrote a lot of the Constitution. And then what nuggets can we get out of there? That's where we get our separation of powers, our setup for our judicial system, the whole thing. They really did design it after a biblical model. Now, they didn't come and say, hey, you've got to be a Christian. That's where the line is.
Right. And I would take it a step further. Almost every one of our founding fathers were a Christian of some sort, yet they did not make us, they did not legislate Christianity.
Right.
They understood that there was a line that government should not cross.
Yes.
And they established that in our First Amendment, the freedom of expression. And by the way, separation of church and state is not in the Constitution.
No, it was a message or a letter written by Thomas Jefferson to the Danbury Baptist Church.
I knew Jefferson wrote it, but that's where it was sent. I didn't know that. Learning something new every day.
That's where it was sent, and that is where we got that phrase from, and then the Supreme Court legislated it. Well, no, it was never in the Constitution. Instead, what it was to do was protect the Baptist Church from the government.
Yeah, that Warren Court. Don't get me going on that Warren Court.
So here's the deal, though. If you look at the First Amendment, you say government shall not establish a religion, but it shall not protect the free exercise thereof. And that's the part they always forget about and they always ignore.
Absolutely. Well, we got to wrap it up here, my friends. Hopefully we gave you some local news. Check it out, communitysolutionsmn.wordpress.com. We got to go way over in time. See you next week.